This PointBreeze location is especially appealing. Like visually, there's something going on here. There's something really special in these soils as well. You got philosophical on the phone. What is land to you? What is land?
What is land? What is land?
Yeah.
Yes, can you say more?
You had connected it to like human needs, right? You had said land is always connected to a human need,
Yeah.
right? Some people might see just a plot of a parcel to be exploited for the purposes of profit.
Yeah.
You connected it to a human need. What is land to you?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the space I'm in terms of being connected to geography and kind of ecological thinking. So we're thinking about land as a really a relationship, relationship that you have with a place. That means you're just making as much as you want to eat, and clean water. Clean water for yourself, but also for the future. It goes for the air too. So so that's just the way that I see how we should be thinking about land. I think that even goes to people. I feel like land and labor is always the thing, and as we're in these United States, so-called United States, the stealing of land and labor of natives, and the Lenape here, and then people that were taken from Africa, like my family was, So I just constantly think about that when I think about what is happening.
Why should we defend land here in so-called Philadelphia, in Lenapehoking?
Yeah. Why?
Why should we defend it? Why is it important?
Why is it important?
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing that actually cannot just be turned into other things. It's almost the most important thing. That's what I say. It's like the thing that, there's money. It's like, actually, you don't need money. You can just grow things. You can just build things. You can build a house. Use the energy that's in your body. You can care for that. Just with that. I don't know. To me, I'm like kind of just so want to think beyond just we're sitting around and we're thinking about how can we buy something. And I think it's not really my like whole like worldview,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think there's something about individuals, I would say myself even, where I just grew up thinking like, oh, if I would like this thing done, I have to buy it. And that is like, that's not true. It's like, especially our ancestors generally, if they needed something, they wanted, you would learn how to do it, and then you would build it. If you know how to build a house, you have to pass down that knowledge to the people from somewhere for you, so you can learn how to do that. How would you learn how to take care of your children? Pass down that knowledge and learn how to do that. And I think it just comes down to a lot of things around like what are the commons, like
Right.
So many things that we've lost, and that's why it's like so much of the work that honestly I see a lot of people doing in Philadelphia. I feel like at Pinterest Garden there's like the herbalists and people talking about like how do we grow things, and I feel like that kind of work sometimes seems like very small, but it's actually everything, right?
Right.
It's actually people being connected to this to sustainable practices that they can take to a lot of different places.
Right. Okay. What was the word I'm thinking of? Fungible? Is that the economics term?
Yeah.
Land isn't fungible.
Yeah.
How are carceral and abolition geographies connected to struggles for land?
Yeah.
I read a little bit of Gilmore, but I want to hear from a scholar like you.
Yeah. So there's a thing in, I would say in the nonprofit world specifically, where there's a lot of talk of the prison. There's a lot of focus on the prison.
Right.
Prison and policing. With the city budget, we like talk about prison and policing. But when it comes down to like what people's experiences are, like you have to understand that like the neighborhood is a prison. If there's a police that's just on your corner and you have a house that doesn't get fixed and the landlord is like telling you, just harassing you all the time, it's like like, and then you can't get a job, you know, and there are many different reasons. It's like it becomes like a prison, you know. And even I would say, like, even sometimes when you do get a little bit of something, right, they'll give you, like, maybe you are on disability, but like you don't have the social power to like create something that feels long lasting or feels powerful.
Right.
So there's a lot of that stuff that in terms of that, you know, I would see from the Gilmore space of saying that like abolition is presence, abolition is kind of this expansiveness around like options and opportunities for people. Like, that is what has to be created for us to actually have that sense of abundance and Jesus, and then Ezra Klein's ruining the word abundance. We used to say abundance all the time. Now,
right.
It turned into some neoliberal thing.
Right. It's diluted now, right?
So I guess we'll find something else. But but like I think Rashad Shabazz has a really excellent work on the history of Chicago.
Okay.
And kind of like black masculine identities and how kind of the, you know, I feel like the same dynamics are here. It's like there's the housing police, there's the police,
right?
You know, there's the University of Chicago police,
right?
There's the transit police. You know, there are all these like policing spaces that can turn your what can feel like freedom, right? This is supposed to be freedom, right?
Right.
But what is this then? You know, it's like this is the prison. And I think that sometimes. It's like if we're really talking about what do we create or what do we need to do, I've been focusing a little bit more on it's either community control over health, thinking about different ways that communities are leading the development and creating, just doing whatever they want. Sometimes that is like a small business or something, but I would not say that like small business is like exactly freeing us, but in general, it's like having some autonomy in your life and to be able to create what you want,
right?
But also having the health, the education, the housing. For us, that's with having a land trust. So that's like a small part of it. That's not the focus, but like of like what we're doing here. But I'm on the board of a land trust, and you know, we get to control land in that way, and have, you know, people that are members of a group that is like also trying to support others. In fact, no, support ourselves really.
Right.
In this housing. So.
Can you share more about your experiences with land-based struggle here, like with the land trust, the war on the homeless as well?
Yeah.
The encampments.
Yeah. It's become it's really, really, really dark. But you know, we've been fighting the city of Philadelphia on encampment sweeps for. They really ramped it up in like 2017, 18. You know, it's just in general the housing crisis has just gotten worse.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, there's a little bit of a set of industry people that like kind of benefit from this like poverty space.
Right.
So like we've been the people that said that it's like, no, people don't need a special program. They don't need like a special like house, that they don't need a tiny house, special tiny house. You know, they don't need all these things. It's like that really just rob people of their dignity. It's like, just do regular stuff for them, like figure out a house, you know, and also the education that goes along with like keeping it, you know, and then figure out jobs and actually like just employ people, just like freaking normal people, right? Instead of like figuring out this thing, this like thing. And yeah, it's like, and it's so interesting. I actually was just looking at a story. It was on the Conversation, that website, but they were looking at, there's a committee that was looking at homelessness in 1817 in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And there were just the same conversations. They blamed all the homelessness on people of color, free blacks at that time.
Right.
And they found that it really wasn't. That was 18% of the population, but there's also a lot of new arrivals, mainly Irish people. I think they was mainly blaming Irish people for all the homelessness, and they said that there was no way that I believe what they, like, I don't have the exact quote, but they said like, they say that they want to work,
Yeah.
but like, but we don't really believe them. But like, because like, even when you like create like work for them,
Mhm.
they don't do it, and they don't seem to care about it. And it's the real issue is their mental health illness, and they
Mm.
drink too much,
Mm.
which is just like the same stuff. And from there, they go on to say like it's appropriate for the city of Philadelphia to be guardians over them, right? So the same things that are happening in 1817 are happening in 2025 when I'm like fighting the state because they're about to change the Mental Health Procedures Act. They're trying to find a way to say that if you have a substance use disorder, you're going to be eligible to be 302'd. You know, that's
Right.
a bill that's being introduced at the Senate level. We're going to have to do some fighting because the Democrats do actually have the House and they might be for it, but like we don't really know. Right now we're at the fact that like Democrats really hate people that are in House just as much, you know?
Yeah.
And they don't really stand up for them. And then there's also another bill that was just released today, in fact, introduced today around, it's called Clearing Up Unauthorized Encampments, but it would give businesses in Philadelphia, the ability to sue the municipality if they do not remove the encampment. So it's this thing that not only is, you know, pretty cruel because people often don't have a place to go, but it's then I think about the budget, right? It's like that means like the budget for policing and streets and all this stuff, it's going to have to be at a certain level to even do that, to like avoid these lawsuits, right? So, and it all goes into this thing that we've always been, I feel like, does kind of rise up during this, you know, the Elizabethan period of like the deserving versus the undeserving poor. There was always this idea of like, there are these people that deserving, but like there's always these other people that they're just trying to get over on us, you know, and it's like, and I just don't know those people. I've just never met those people. You know, there's a certain amount of animosity that people that are in kind of the right above that, like they're directed their anger instead of upward, they're directed to it like sideways or downward.
Right.
And that's like a lot of the work that I feel like we often do, right? So there's like these clear things, these you know, we're in another moment of counterinsurgency where they're like, yeah, we should just kidnap people off the street and just put them wherever, right? And actually, that is happening. I want to say
Right.
that is happening right now.
Literally.
Like, there are lots of people that are going through withdrawal, people that are, you know, 4 people that we know of, like by name, like died this year, you know, taken off the streets of Kensington, thrown into jail, and then they screamed to their death. That's
Right.
like actually happened, right?
Right.
So there are just stuff like that, but like, you know, like part of like what we do is kind of like a lot of it, which people refuse to do, is just like talk about like what is happening to the people that is actually happening with, and that can just be being on the street, talking to neighbors, or I feel like going down to City Hall and talking to the people that are in line at the Everywhere Project, which is a great harm reduction outreach group. The ACT UP's Homeless Union has been doing these outreaches like out in front of Apple Tree, which is our like centralized intake.
Okay.
Every Friday, I've been doing that for 3 years. You know, there are people that are just they're like, you just gotta talk to people.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and those people will talk. Will do they will decide whether they want to like upend this stuff, and a lot of it is like you just talk about the facts and the contradictions come up. Like you don't have to. I don't know. People are always thinking it's like you're trying to make stuff up. You don't have to make stuff up.
No.
It's like just talk to the people. And I tell people it's like you don't take other people's stories. Like bring them along. Or I honestly do tell people you got to tell your own story. I can never tell it.
Well, from your story, it's clear. I mean, you've been in the trenches. You've been working space, ACT UP, right? A lot of different interconnected struggles. How did you connect with the Save the UC Townhomes fight?
Yeah, that was wow. What really happened? I guess we were brought in through a friend, of ours. Yeah, of people that we know that were in the neighborhood. Yeah, definitely was not me. I guess I just want to be clear about that. It was through contacts that was in the neighborhood, and they said, maybe want to help, and then we just started coming all around. We had relationships with some people at HUD, and then also with the housing authorities. So I just had the ability to kind of fight on those ends while which really helped some of the on the ground stuff,
Right.
and every time has a different strategy, right? Like
Right.
during the Trump era, then we did do an encampment that like can't go away, but like during a Biden era, it's like they weren't gonna do much, but I could at least get to the bureaucrats to like tell them to like don't let them just sell it, they got to do something about it, and then the council person was like helpful somewhat as well. So I don't know. I always think about well, actually I was listening to this book by Garrett Felber, Martin Sostre, maybe you see it. He's been around talking about this black anarchist that did a lot.
Let's wait till these guys pass. Continue,
Yeah.
please. Thank
Black anarchist that did a lot of organizing inside, and I think of him. I think of Kwesi Balagoon. Just think of people that it feels like didn't have an ideology. They just they focus on the connections and relationships and what was pragmatic and doable at the time, but also with some clarity. This is with some clarity. I mean, and they're with this stuff around like prison stuff, it's like, yeah, you just break people out of the prison, or you just support them, like the 10 men that just broke out of that prison in Louisiana.
Right.
That grandma sent money or was helping out, and it's like, yeah, no, freedom, and it's like, I don't know, it's real simple. I mean, I will say you often don't get invited to certain rooms, but usually I know what's going on because everyone talks to me anyway. That's the thing. You do a lot of favors for people. I mean, that's the thing. You got to stay. Some people got to stay in one place for a time.
Right.
I was thinking about this thing with the way that people are doing research too. It's like if you're doing research anywhere, sometimes you are there for a little bit of time, but you should be able to have a relationship with those people and be able to call them and not have some sort of like feeling like maybe you've wronged them or you've done something wrong.
Right.
It's like you should be able to do that.
Right.
Like if not, then maybe you have extracted from them.
Right.
Maybe it was extractive, and maybe you should feel shame for that.
Right.
But like just the way that people have engaged with places, I'm pretty certain that that's got to change, and I don't want to give people any.
Continue.
Yeah, because a lot of the spaces where people are activists, they are often connected to the universities.
Right.
Right. So, I don't know. I just think that that's a really important fact about because the place of the university in our society is one of a pretty harmful place. It's like a disciplining place.
Right.
And all the places that have come up, it's like the University of Pennsylvania, that's our enemy.
Right.
Temple University, that's our enemy. I work there. I gotta figure it out. But it's just like Temple has not really like done reparations for the people that being a part of that 1950s and 60s moment.
Right.
It did say that people's houses were blighted, and it constantly has like different types of programs that seek to undermine the like very rich, like the thing is that like North Philly in itself like is like a place with like knowledge and like energy and work, and like instead of like handing over resources, they like have to put the T on everything. So if you're not connected to that,
right,
then it doesn't then it won't then they won't support it, right? So it's like about getting credit and I don't know, taking over community-based institutions, more than just supporting the people there.
Right.
I mean, and like PASCAP, like is like a community-based like place where like people in the neighborhood used to go, right? They like, and the people I talked to the woman there recently, but they're like, that's community-based education. There used to be. Did you know that?
I've actually never heard.
Temple used to have this like community-based education place where like people used to go to learn Swahili. And used to learn about like African culture and stuff like that. And it's like of course, Leah Chorus, like he ruined all that stuff. And I feel like you gotta you talk to the people in North Philly like Miss Jackie. They'll tell you all about it. I feel like they have a better hold on it than me. But I'm just saying, it's like that's the way that they roll.
So how does your positionality as a scholar activist, how does that affect your relationship to land-based struggles here in Philly?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel like it makes me want to put myself into the space and figure out what my interest is, and just go with that. Because I'm a person that's Black, disabled, person living with HIV. So I'm gonna fight for my things. I know people that they are, in the community, and like I try to fight with solidarity. I feel mostly with like black mothers and that are getting their kids taken away or with getting evicted somewhere. But I try to fight in solidarity and say like I got my fights. I'm fighting for myself. You're fighting for yourself. We're in solidarity with each other and show up for each other.
Right.
And then you try to practice that. And then you also don't like put the university on a pedestal and say that like this is the place. And literally all of us could be around and like have a place where we learn great stuff, right?
Right.
It doesn't have to be within a place that also has like the head of the board is a person that I would sue with when I used to be a housing discrimination lawyer. So that's just, I mean, those are just the facts. Like I don't know about what his personality is like. I never met him, but I do know that he has a company that was discriminating against Black people. At the same time, you're the head board chair of the board of trustees of Temple University. And I feel like that's kind of disappointing. That's kind of disappointing to me.
My first week of school in my master's program at Penn, I went to the top of the Van Pelt Library, and there was a giant plaque erected to honor the Board of Overseers. Language speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, literally in the 1700s, how did they derive their wealth? You know what I mean? So, and who are their descendants today? The people that you would be suing, as you said, that you fought against. You fought real hard. So what are some memorable moments organizing at the People's Townhomes? What are some big highlights for you?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, there are so many. I really love I'll mention a few. I just really love when you're with people, and I feel like we like to do direct actions. That's just like the way that we want to go and do our own press releases and like just take up public space. And it's just, I remember the first time that Miss Starr just kind of grabbed the bullhorn out of my hand. I was just like, I got this, and you're just like, it's like I'm like, great, that's what I want.
Right. Hold on.
Continue.
Yeah. So, what are some of those memorable moments organized? You talk about the bullhorn.
Yeah. So, remember when we were in doing a direct action, and we're in a circle, and we were taking up the street in 34th Street, and Miss Darlene just like grabbed the bullhorn from me and just say like, I got this, and just started chanting. And I just love those moments because it's like the moment where you're like, oh yeah, people do not need us anymore. And I'm really happy about that. And I think that we need to do more work on this. I guess I would say theoretically, like especially with people's bodies, to be able to control your own situation, there must be something like energetically or like in your mind or like I don't know, hormonally that happens in your body when that happens, when you know that that when you make a move, like something happens. I know it feels good to me, right? I don't know, that's kind of the basic, kind of the backbone of like a lot of masculinity. Right. It like feels great to be able to do something and an action happens because you did it and you were in control of it. And to like be able to like be in the street and take it over and say that like people that well, I don't know everybody's history, but it seemed like that wasn't a thing that people have been doing a lot of, so and doing a lot of the stuff that you didn't think that could be done or we should do is a part of that too. And I feel like you have to have some people that have some experience to be with you. And I know one of the things that we did was we went into the suburbs and just like read our demands to their office for Washington.
Okay.
And it's just like a thing where, of course, they called the police. They came in like 7 minutes, right? They're so fast, but like
This is Brett Altman's office.
yeah,
Or? Okay.
yeah. It's like they're so fast, but like they got it up, and then like they went forward. A few of us stayed back and we talked to the police, and then and then it was over.
Okay.
But like sometimes people will build that stuff up, and it's like and like no, just do it and do a lot of it, and do it constantly. And I think part of that comes from I will tell you I learned a lot of that through like other people's actions, like in Philly. I feel like Move and just and I would say like the homeless union. There's so many great activists, Gloria Casares, that all the ACT UP organizers that have been here for a long time. But I would say like for me, to see it in person, my friend Jem Benich is the one that kind of like I saw it happening like in 2019, right? It's like we're like, yeah, people are still doing this. It's like we're still gonna just go do direct action, harass the police, yell at them, go to the 22nd district. They're always hanging out. They're always, I don't know what they're doing. Now they're going to the Tubman Museum. But like, I don't know. I like to think of this as like an orientation too.
Okay.
I don't know. Sometimes I kind of make jokes, and I feel like sometimes people don't take it seriously, but I literally think that you have to involve as many people in the movement as possible.
Right.
And people in their own fight. So, like, I do not like when somebody will say they're doing like something for housing, but it's like giving money to lawyers for eviction defense.
Okay.
That's not
Right.
doing it. That's like believing that there's a system that will work. And maybe that's for some white people that like have it. But if you can never afford the rent, then what does that even matter?
Right.
And I'm serious about that because it's like they keep saying these things, but it's like if you're not actually changing the structures of power, if you're not giving more power to organizers so it's very clear that you can't even touch them or evict them if they're trying to organize their building, then what does that matter then?
That's a great way to tie what he just said into what Ant said.
Okay.
The part where he says how usually when there's new development and they're saying, they're making stuff better, if it's new development, we don't have access to it.
Right.
Because either, we have to pay a lot of money just to use it, rent it, or the rent itself is just too high.
Mm-hmm. How did with the townhomes, how did development, what ended up happening? What was the outcome?
And the townhomes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have ideas about a lot of things. So
Okay.
there's no outcome.
Okay.
There's not like
Word.
a lot of people. They go to organizing school and they like to wrap it up and they're
Right.
like, oh, it's a decision. Like I stay in relationship with the people every day.
Right.
Yeah, you get a text from the elders just to make sure that they're okay on a daily basis. So
Right.
that's just so there's an outcome that occurred, right? So there's a newspaper outcome that said everyone got 50,000. Said that they're going to rebuild it, and 70 units will be owned by PHA. But that's a battle, right?
Right.
So that happened. They got told in 2021, like something finally got finalized in like middle of 2023, right? And it's 2025, and it's still just a green patch. So I don't know. I'm like I have a longer viewpoint of these stuff, and also this stuff, at least from my standpoint, when you can't displace elders. You can't
Mm.
like that. Like they're gonna they have. It takes a real toll on them. That's just my experience. Whether it's like in, from the old Penn Win that was mass evicted in 2017, 18, and this other building, for Shalom, it's like people don't just like they're just like fine, they're 80 years old,
Right.
It's like even to like have to move is part of the harm.
Right.
So like to believe that we're gonna just move them to the bright shiny building and they'll be fine. That's not true. That's not true. That's not what happens. And it's like and if anybody who ended their campaign took it out of their date to fucking just check in, I know a lot of good people, and they can't even talk about the fact that they still stay in contact with some of their patients or people, but they cared about them as humans. They're like, I'm in this organization, but I care about you as a human.
Right.
So like. So whatever with this paperwork, and the fact of the matter is that when that happens, when the displacement happens, like, I'm sorry, things are still happening. Like negative things are still happening to them, and there's no way that you get displaced from like a place where you're comfortable and things were like okay to like a place that no, it's going to be worse. It just is. And there's nothing. I mean, there's a lot of anti housing subsidy stuff that like goes on, and it's like everyone got a voucher, but yeah, it's like where are you going to use that? And even if you do use that, how are they going to like try to like belittle you and make you feel bad for like even having one?
Right.
And the fact of the matter is like who cares? Like you should be. Everyone should be paying 30% of what they earn. Whether that's $0 or whether that's $1 million. It's all right.
Right. I don't know how they calculate that 30% anyway, but so earlier you talked about a long run game, a long run vision, and when you put it in that way, you can't easily quantify as a neat binary of, this is my terms, my words, of a neat win or loss, outcomes measurable. It kind of renders those moot when you elongate the time frame. Let's think of Chinatown, and then the time frame in a long run view. Like, what are some of your reflections on the Chinatown fight? So, for example, the process of organizing itself. Black and Asian solidarity, and the ways that the win happened. What are some of your reflections?
Really on the outside of that, just did some stuff with the Black Philly for Chinatown space, but I do think there was some real important work being done to just combat the fact that Sherelle Parker would go to a black church and then say some of the most like anti-Asian stuff possible to get support for it, and for us to have a group of people that were still involved to say no, like no, we're not going to do this. In fact, you should talk to Sheldon about it. He said a brilliant kind of like hold her to account kind of thing at one of these town halls, quote unquote town halls, but it's like that fact of like how they win, right? It is to like make it seem as if everybody is against you. So everyone has to like bunker down in their like little spot and the way that you counter that is by saying no, that's not true. Like we support you support us. Chinatown they were up at the AAU, Asians American United, and Deadbeat. I mean, we were doing stuff all the time at the townhome. So when it was time to like show up for them, we did show up for them, because that's how you do it. You make sure that like whether they come to Center City or University City, we're gonna fight them.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, definitely to defend it, in defending the land here in Philadelphia or anywhere else.
I mean, the land trust for me that's my main organizing, and that's around North Philly and West Philly, and that came out of the 2020 encampments. Our friend, like I mentioned, Jem Bennett, she had like an encampment in North Philly,
right?
Where I was more down here, and and the deal that came out of that is like a really good example of how you can take vacant housing, support people in it, figure it out. It's all messy, but like the fact of the matter is that there is a land trust in the city. Other people should be making land trusts.
Right.
For me, it's not even about having a bunch of money. It's like literally, it's like you just need to like do the labor to like make it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely, we'll be looking more into that as well.
Yeah, and I'm serious. No, get the land.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of times people don't take it seriously though. I feel like I talk to people in the South, or I talk to people. It's like I signed the papers. that then handed over to an organization that we put into the deed restrictions that, like, you know, you can't sell it. We put into an organization that, like, our organization will dissolve if it's you know, not meeting its goals or whatever. If it's like selling land, it's not supposed to sell land. You know, I mean, and as long as I'm alive, you know, at least for the years that I'm on the board, you know, I will rotate off. But like while I'm alive, I'm not gonna sell it.
Okay.
Like that's not me begging for anybody. I know myself.
Right.
You're gonna have to kill me. Seriously. Seriously. I'm not even kidding. It's
right.
like
No, I believe
you need to have that attitude.
Yeah.
But like I'm not trusting anybody else to do that.
Right.
I'm just not.
Word. Well, I want to honor your time and then start to wrap up here. Just want to thank you. I mean, for opening up and sharing, you know, this wealth of knowledge and wisdom that you have. On the note of property, you know, well, first of all, any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of people that are tired and that are doing a lot, and I just want to like honor that time and say that's good, you know, especially organizing around some of the worst parts of Philly. We have some like weapons manufacturers here. We have people involved with technology in Palestine, so like making the connections between Palestine and then also like thinking about like some of the ways that settlers are supported and it's just like a really important like thing to make that connection. And I just like want to, like, for me, I'm a historian. I don't like to just make statements. I don't like to make statements. If you're gonna say something about somebody, it's like, I'm not gonna say I have lots of Jewish friends. I'm not gonna say all Jewish people. It's like I know that person right there is trying to kill as many Palestinian people as they can.
Right.
And that's wrong.
Right.
So, just like having that honestly what I would say, the precision and the messaging and being very clear. And we have like such a history of like Quakers that have always fought against militarism and stood for pacifism, sometimes in the worst ways, but like at least in terms of these ways, we can like say that like, yeah, we should not be having we should not be investing in policing, military, when there are people on the street, and it doesn't even make sense, you know?
Right.
It's like, it literally doesn't make sense. When they talk about like, oh, we should build more prisons or we should build more asylums or something, that's the most expensive thing.
Yeah.
Fiscally conservative people are like, no, you can't be. It's
Right.
actually that's the most expensive way
Right.
to actually deal with some of our social problems, quote unquote, you know?
Right.
So at least for me, I'm just like really interested in finding ways to connect. And honestly, historically, think about history and really, really take it seriously. Take it seriously. What happened from the 1870s, thinking about Reconstruction. You know, because it's like, for me, like, I think about those moments. I think about all the moments that have been really hard in history, and it's like people had to make a lot of really hard decisions. You know, I think about people that came to slavery. You had to look at the people that were trying to enslave you, and they had to be in the same legislator. And you had to talk to them. And you had to figure out. And for them, they figured out that it'd probably be best if we fought for integration and the right for their children to go to school too with our children.
Right.
You know. And it wasn't about like some sort of like fight they were having online or something. They're like, nah, this is probably the best strategy for us to actually make it happen. The only reason that little white children were educated in any way was because all the black people that like actually fought for them, right? And that's the sort of stuff where I'm just like, yeah, there are so many places for solidarity, and of course that was the solidarity with people on the ground that were like, yeah, we actually did want our children educated, you know?
Right.
There are so many people in the world that like are kind of trying to divide us and like try to figure out stuff, but some other way to like kind of carve us up. And I'm like, I just want people to reject that, because there are stories throughout all of history. Through all of history, there's always people that knew that what was happening was wrong. You know, you just gotta say them, and also there are all these stories that we gotta like break down in our place too. It's like it's not just all black and white. There's always people that were not black and white.
Right,
you know,
right, right,
Asian,
right, right,
that were Asian, that were Lebanese, that were I don't know. It's just like, are you kidding me? There are people like
All
that are
over.
native,
Right.
that's like in the cities. You know, it's like I just don't. We have like such a weird. I would say Americanism is like what I would call, it's like this obsession with like the nationalist story and like what it is, and I think that we really gotta like get out of it, because it's the thing that'll kill us, because it's like it's more than that. It's like we need a real working class solidarity with honestly some motherfuckers that they are not gonna like me, and I don't like them either. But I understand that like we still want to live, and we still want to live a good life, you know?
Right.
We still want to get those people, the other people that are trying to like, I don't know, just say lies about us, about them, you know? I know that, like, I don't know, if racism is a function of power, then, like, you know, the drug user that's, like, has, like, a real problem, it's like, that's not my